I see. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the prayer and the pledge. Everybody can stand. Do the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I just want to welcome everybody to close that door. This is the regular city council meeting for Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. Thank you, Mr. Edley. We've had the prayer and the pledge, and Ms. Ramsey, if you could call the roll.
Davis. Here. St. Columbia.
Present.
Franklin. Etherly.
Here.
Ford. Here. Ms. Crockett won't be with us this evening. We have 4 present, 2 absent.
And I just want to say that I'm glad you're back, and after last week, I'm glad that I understand what the city clerk does now, because it's very difficult to do both. So the first item on the agenda, minutes from September 20th, as sent out, and give you a chance to review those. In case there's anything that you would like to amend.
We accept the minutes of the meeting of September 20th.
St. Columbia moves adoption of the minutes from September 20th. Is there a second? Is there a second? Give everybody a chance to read it. We'll keep the motion alive. Any changes, amendments? Well, welcome KJIW and listeners, and also anybody watching on Zoom, and any Helena-West on the world, and any other media that might be watching on Zoom. Mr. Edley seconds Mr. St. Columbia's motion to adopt the minutes of September 20th. Any questions or comments? Not, call the roll.
Columbia.
Yes.
Ford.
Yeah.
Davis. Etherly.
Yes.
I have 2 absent, 1 abstention, 3 yes. Smith.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Motion passes, minutes are adopted. So the first item on the business agenda is a Caterpillar repair bill. So if you'll recall, at the last meeting, we discussed it, but we really had just gotten them and hadn't had a chance to distribute them in keeping with our rules about distributing packets ahead of time. And I also had not had a chance to review it or talk to anybody about it. Since that time, I'm hoping that you've gotten copies of it. I think we made copies that night, didn't we? Yeah. Oh, you weren't here. I think we made copies. Yeah. Right. So you should have copies or have received copies. And Greg Ross, who is the contact person with Riggs Caterpillar on this issue, has been off. So I have still not spoken to him to my satisfaction anyway about this bill. Having said that, I've talked to a couple of people familiar with the landfill, and some of this is covered by warranty and some of it's not. They recommend that we do it because we need to get the tracks back on the Caterpillar so we can stop renting Caterpillar, I mean, the rental, it's not a Caterpillar, I don't think, but the rental that we have, which is about $6,000 a week. We can either pay these, go ahead and approve this. They haven't fixed it yet. So this is not a case where they fixed it and I'm asking you to pass it after the fact. They have not done it yet. This is an estimate. If you approve it tonight, we'll go forward with that. We'll still need to rent the dozer. We're renting at least another week for them to do the repairs. Or we can approve the rental for another week and wait until we do get, Mr. Ross comes back and I can get other answers. Really, I mean, the questions I had for him were pretty generic questions. I didn't have anything significant other than just going over the line items in the bill itself and talking about what was warranted and what wasn't and why it was and why it wasn't. Just basic things like that. Other people have gone over it with them besides me. So that's pretty much where that is. Any questions or discussion?
It's not listed in the agenda and I do not have the handout. What was the total cost of the repair?
$33,958.10. And that's what we were saying at the last meeting. We made copies. But we didn't discuss it because it wasn't on the agenda. It is on the agenda, the Caterpillar repair bill. And I had hoped to get with Mr. Ross before this meeting, and I did try several times, but he's been off. So have not successfully spoken with him about it. So really the options would be, I mean, it seems to me we're going to have to rent the dozer we have at least another week. And you would need to approve that. The other question would be whether to approve the $33,958.10 going forward to go ahead and begin the repairs on the two dozers that we have in the shop.
Mr. Mayor, from the papers that I've received on that you all given to me on the Caterpillar, I see nothing wrong with getting it repaired. We're under a warranty for what it is under the warranty, and what is not. We need to move forward and get it repaired. But renting a Caterpillar is more expensive than dragging this thing on. We need to go ahead and get it fixed. So I make a motion that we approve the repairs that need to be repaired, and you and your administration need to make sure that our motion going forward and handling it is well taken care of. And I have confidence and trust in you and your staff in doing that. So I make a motion that we go ahead forward with the repairs as outlined.
Just St. Columbia makes a motion that we approve the repairs for $33,958.10, or let's say $3,400, round up.
Right.
For the estimate that was provided. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Etherly seconds the motion. Any other questions or comments about the motion?
Again, what were your questions that you had for?
Well, I didn't really have the biggest question I had. I wanted to go over sort of line item by line item, what was warranted and what's not. And I didn't get a chance to do that.
Better yet, give us a refresher. What's the nature of the repairs?
The tracks fell off the dozer, and some of the I'm not sure what they're the rubber feet, I think they're called, maybe on the tracks had been worn off that they want to replace. That's not under warranty, but they strongly recommend that we replace them to extend the life of the dozers. And so I was just going to talk to him a little bit about that, but it's the tracks. And then one of the other unit had some issues with the machinery itself, the motor itself.
Do we have the funds?
The landfill brings in about, yes, what's short version. And we're having to rent, this, of course, I'm not, you already know this, it's mostly for the benefit of the listening. The landfill brings in money. It's a money maker for the city. So the rental that you have to have a landfill. I mean, you have to have a dozer to cover up the garbage and stay in compliance with EPA and AEQ regulations. And so we have to rent the dozer, which is at about $6,000. And these dozers aren't just dozers. They're at landfill packages because of the nature of garbage and all the different things that they have to go over. They're very prone to break down if they don't have a landfill package. So these dozers have, all of these dozers we're talking about have landfill packages so that you're better defended against all those different elements that you find at a landfill. But you have to have a dozer basically to run your landfill. Or you're not in compliance. And so in order to continue to make money, we have to have a dozer. So the short answer is yes, we have the money. The long answer is we're going to lose money if we stop using a dozer out there, a lot more than what it's going to cost to fix them.
This is repair on both dozers? Or just
Yes,
one?
yes,
Okay,
on both.
Okay.
Both. Mhm.
Mayor, I call for the question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Any other questions?
this is for two.
Correct.
What's the individual cost of each one?
Let's see, one is 16,872. I'm sorry, 20,494.65. And the other one is 13,463.45.
What's wrong?
Hmm?
What's wrong with the second? Track star.
No, that, as I was saying earlier, there was some problems with the motor. That's the refurbished one. We had two, a refurbished and a brand new one. The brand new one had the tracks go off and the refurbished one had some issues with the motor.
Mr. Valley says he prepared an ordinance. He's going to get it. And if there's an ordinance, we should probably just approve the ordinance.
Do we have to have an ordinance to pay the bill?
You have to waive competitive bidding.
It is an estimate. It's not an actual bill yet because they haven't done the work yet. So you're approving whether or not to do the work. So if Mr. Valley thinks we need one, we'll wait for him to get back.
He'll have to withdraw his motion.
Will you withdraw your motion?
Do I?
Will you withdraw your motion, Mr. St. Columbia? Because it had a second also, so it's a live motion. Unless you can you withdraw your motion to approve it?
We'll still have to pass the ordinance. And so instead of
Okay,
withdrawing it
y'all
twice.
withdraw it.
Yeah.
We need to get it, we need to get the Caterpillar fixed. We don't need to be.
But if we vote now, we'll have to vote again. And so we'll just be
Okay.
doing the same
All right.
thing twice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and wherever we are, if we can interrupt whatever we're doing, we'll try to stop and get back to
Okay.
that, and then we'll resume where we are. So the next thing, Mr. Scroggins, if you could go ahead and come forward. And if I'm not mistaken, did you have something to pass out? Pardon me, Mr. Scroggins, if you don't mind, I just realized something. Well, you go ahead and continue what you're doing. And then I'm going to ask that the council can go ahead and help with this permit. Hope Church Fall Festival is Sunday, October 23rd. There was some confusion about whether or not we had approved this. And so I was told that we had approved it at the meeting that I was late for. And let's y'all remember that. We're thinking that we were mistaken about that. So I had already told Mr. Duval that he could go back home because I was told that we had approved it, the meeting I didn't attend or I was late for. But whether we did or did not, this is the application that's coming up this weekend. He was on his way here, so if there is no opposition, would somebody mind making, or if you have questions, but make a motion to approve the permit for Hope Church Fall Fest this weekend?
So moved.
Mr. Etherly moves approval of the event permit application for Hope Church Fall Fest this weekend. Mr. St. Columbia seconds the motion. Any questions or comments about the motion? If not, call the roll.
Ford,
Yes.
Etherly,
Yes.
St. Columbia,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
4 present, 2 absent.
Motion passed. Thank y'all for that.
We go back to the previous issue.
Yeah, if you're ready to.
Yeah, I typed the ordinance when we was in last meeting, but I guess we didn't put it in your packet. The ordinance regarding J. Riggs, because it's an ordinance waiving competitive bidding in the amount of $33,058.10. It includes both of the bills that we discussed in the last meeting, but we brought up this, but it's not in your packet, but it is typed. What what number would that be, Ms. Ramsey?
35.
Now, due to the number of you all present, but it'll be a waiver of 2/3, all 5 of you have to vote for it, or else we'd have to bring it back at another meeting. That's just a caveat if you want to, or we could have 3 different readings and 3 different meetings, either one. But the ordinance is, the motion was St. Columbia. I think you had a motion on the floor. Did you all vote on the motion?
You never voted. He withdrew it, so we could do the ordinance.
The motion would be to place order number 35, that's 2022 on its 3rd reading, and suspend the rules and reading the title only.
I so moved.
St. Columbia moves, what's number
35.
35 to be put on 3rd and final reading. Reading title only. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Etherly seconds the motion. Any questions or comments about the motion?
It's ordinance number 2035.
35.
Yes, sir. I'll email it to you.
If not, call the roll.
Davis,
Yes.
Etherly,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
St. Columbia,
Yes.
4 yes, 2 absent.
Yes,
Okay, order number 35, that's 2022, orders waiving competitive bidding in the Court of Arkansas Code, say this section 1458-303, authorizing the mayor to enter a contract to repair certain property for the city of Helena-West and for other related purposes. There needs to be a motion to adopt.
I so moved.
Mr. St. Columbia moves adoption of ordinance number 35 is read. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Etherly seconds the motion. Any questions or comments about the motion? Call the roll.
St. Columbia,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Etherly,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
5 yes, 2 absent.
There's a-
Emergency clause.
Yes, sir. It has to stand alone in addition. It says landfill have to do to cover waste and landfill daily. And without the those being repaired, the city cannot act to cover waste, create a proper cover path, could result in fines and the environmental damage as a result. Therefore, emergency is hereby declared.
Emergency clause on ordinance number 35. Is there a motion for adoption?
I move that we adopt the emergency clause.
Mr. St. Columbia moves adoption of the emergency clause for ordinance number 35. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Etherly seconds the motion. Any questions or comments about the motion? If not, call the roll.
Ford,
Yes.
Etherly,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
St. Columbia,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
5 yes, 2 absent.
Thank you.
And do we need to,
Actually, we need to do a
Appro-
motion on the rent. This is, it's not done yet. This is the estimate to do it.
So it's above the 35,000?
Well,
Oh,
no,
that's the
to
repair,
rent it-
35,000.
to rent the one while they're
Okay.
repairing it.
Yes, you do need to do that. That's right.
So
Now, I guess one question I have, how long are you gonna rent it?
well, as long as we need to, until ours is fixed.
they have the
But I would
equipment.
think,
He said the name.
It'll be at least a week, yeah. And of course, we're not planning on meeting next week, so you could say up to 2 weeks if needed.
Madam Clerk, what's the total we've already paid in rental or accrued in rental for them? What I'm trying to do, because it's over 7,500, we might as well do another ordinance to waive the rental. So we can put it all as one conglomerate thing.
It's about
I don't have a
6,000.
total in front of me.
6,100.
6,100 weeks, how many weeks have we had?
3,
And how many more weeks do you anticipate?
2.
So what's 6,100 times? I'll say times 6, just out of.
So the-
Hey, right. 100 times 6. That's a total of 36,000. So it'll be rent certain. So who was the rental from? It's from the same people?
Yes. I forget the name of the company.
Is it J Riggs, the same one we just did?
No, actually, it's not. You remember the name of the company we're renting it from?
Dozer, D-O-Z-R.
DOZER.
No, D-O-Z-R.
DOZR is the name of the company that we're renting it from.
Mhm.
You said DOZR?
Yes,
You have an address for them?
in my office. I don't have it here.
Okay.
Mr. Frank.
We still on the rental repair. I thought we was going. From my understanding, I thought we had some kind of warranty on this. That's what we were told. I'm sorry for my lateness, but what, this is almost $36,000. So what a warranty, we was assured that we would have some kind of warranty on this item. We was told that the tracks came off the machine, so.
Tracks are warranted, the rubber deals that go on the end of them. And so, as I explained before you got here, I've tried to reach out to the man over this, but he's on vacation. And I have not talked to him. And what I was going to ask him about was to go over the warranted versus non-warranted costs. These are the non-warranted costs. And I just happen to know from talking to a few folks affiliated with our landfill and the equipment for the city who have talked to them, what they're telling me, but I didn't have any reason to suspect anything about it or anything like that, but I did not successfully talk to him about it. So he's off. Hopefully he'll call me back. Are we waiting on him?
Yeah, I got 36,600, 6,100 a week. The ordinance number 36, 2022.
Yes.
Yes, if y'all ready, it's a waive competitive bid in place on 35, read the final only. The amount is 36,600. That's inclusive of the previous weeks and the 2 coming weeks. I'm putting that here in the ordinance.
So Mr. Valley's putting in ordinance number 36, the total amount of the rental costs for the rental dozer that we're using in lieu of the regular dozers until they get repaired. That includes the previous 3 weeks and prospectively 2 weeks,
I actually put 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
The $6,100 per week. And so the total is 36,600 weeks, which represents 6 weeks. $36,600, which represents $6,100 per week, which is equivalent to 6 weeks.
So the question is, suspend the rules, put it on third and final reading. Reading the title only on ordinance number 36 regarding the rental dozer.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Franklin moves adoption of ordinance number 36 to put it on third and final reading for the rental of the dozer. Mr. St. Columbia, excuse me, Mr. St. Columbia seconds motion. Any questions or comments about the motion? If not, call the roll.
Etherly,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Franklin.
Yes.
St. Columbia.
Yes.
5 yes, 1 absent.
Motion
That
passes.
needs to be a motion to adopt.
So.
Second.
Mr. Franklin moves adoption of ordinance number 36. Mr. St. Columbia seconds the motion for approval of the rental dozer expenses. Any questions or comments? Or we already have, if not, call the roll.
Franklin.
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Etherly,
Yes.
Ford. St. Columbia.
Yes.
5 yes, 1 absent.
And emergency clause in ordinance number 36.
Yes.
Second.
Mr. Franklin moves adoption of the ordinance of the emergency clause for ordinance number 36 regarding the rental dozers, and Mr. St. Columbia seconds the motion. Any questions or comments about the motion? If not, call the roll.
Davis. Yes. Etherly,
Yes.
St. Columbia.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Ford. 5 yes, 1 absent.
All right, motion passes. Okay. So now we can move on. I'm sorry, Mr. Scroggins, for that interruption. Go ahead and come back. So Mr. Scroggins has, so has been passed out memo and I guess an email about the Jones Hydro Services issue and also the Jordan's bill. And I'm just gonna go ahead and merge, if it's okay, if there's no objection, the issue of the CDs, because that's one of the options for paying these bills. So we might as well just roll these two things into one. But and Mr. Scroggins, if you would, feel free to give the council any kind of a status report as well on the department, if you choose to.
Is to pass around. Basically, we got 4 wells at West Helena plant. We've been running off of 9, 10, and 7. 10 has been, 9 has been down, I'm sorry. 8 has been down for several years, and we've got the power run to it, and we got it back online. Luckily, we did. It's because well number 9 had a motor that went out, it was replaced. That's on the bypass, over on the bypass. And shortly thereafter, the well quit producing. It was a history of showing that it had gone down. Actually, all of them except, well, all of them. We got number 10 going, which pulled us through. 9 is completely down. 7 is down to about 300 gallons a minute. That's the one between the old office and the plant. 10 is down 1/3 of capacity. 10 we got back on is pumping approximately 1,000 gallons a minute. So we were able to get through even though we had some issues. Jones had come back out and let on Saturday morning because 10, because it hadn't been raining so long, had quit. So we had to get him over that Saturday morning, and he had to free it up, and pull it up and jar it, and get the air release replaced, and get the bearings going again. So that well has pulled us through at West Helena for the time being. It's still running short of water, and it will continue to get worse. Recommendations from Jones Hydro was to pull number 8 first, or 10 first, and redo it since it wasn't down that far. But since number 9 is completely gone out, well, it's not feasible to do that. So we're gonna have to at least pull number 9 to let him inspect and see how much that's cost is being. We have two pending bills for him. One is for $12,679.88. And one for Saturday morning was $2,059.72. To pull number 9, I think his estimate and determine what may or may not be wrong with it and run test is somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000. And then if the worst case scenario, I'm gonna read it just to be positive. That well was put in 1972. It could cost anywhere in addition to $60,000 to $80,000. Depending upon the condition he finds when he pulls the well. Number 10 is the newest well, and was put down in 1977. I believe that's correct. 76, I'm sorry. So without one of those wells, if something, we have run short. And are running short at the West Downell plant. And we're just sufficient. The plants are running almost 24 hours a day, average about 22 hours a day.
If I could try to maybe put this in layman's terms. We have one well. At one point this week, we only had one well operating, drawing water out of the ground, being treated and distributed in West Helena. Is that right?
We had two wells running up to 10 days ago.
And what do we have right now?
We're down to, once we got 10 back on there, we were able to run, 8 back on, we were able to get 8 going and 10 is going. 10 is the one that's down a third of capacity. Number 9 is completely out. And number 7, which sits in the front, it's only pumping 300. It's down more than 2/3 capacity. Barely limping along. We had to kick it on this morning to have enough water to pump and treat it West Helena, because it will eventually fail itself.
Mr. Frank,
Are you asking us? Are you asking, or who's asking for about this CD? Are you asking?
so right now, he's just giving you a status report, I think, on the wells and the pumps and the bypasses and so forth.
But you also say he's
I'm not
gonna,
really asking for anything right now.
because you just said,
We're about to, but this discussion is about the
I understand it, but
pumps and the wells.
you remember you said you was gonna merge these two things together. So that's what I'm asking. Are you asking you tell us about these problems that need to be fixed? The CD the mayor that you had cashed in or whatever, is this the money you want to use to get this problem fixed, or you want to use this money to pay your gasoline bills and stuff like that?
Now, we're talking 2 separate issues, or we're talking sewage pumps or water plant?
I understand that.
Sir?
I understand it, but what I'm asking,
Okay,
these are invoices you're bringing to us, right?
the water wells,
Right. But I'm asking,
when we bring him current, if we possibly can, and give him permission to go ahead on number 9 to pull it, investigate it, and that's a $15,000 to $20,000.
yes, sir.
But once he does it, you're gonna have to make a commitment, because it can't stay out of the ground and be contaminated.
Do you understand what I'm asking?
Now,
I'm asking you, the CD that you all cashed in, are you asking to use that money to pay for this so it can move you forward, so you can go ahead and get these pumps replaced?
are there 2 separate issues at this moment? The bills that's pending with Jordan's,
No, sir.
completely separate issue.
I understand that, but you gave, because I don't have a handout. I'm looking at Mrs. Ford's as we go through this. I mean, are you the CD? Are you going to use that money to pay for this?
Just for the CDs, to pay the pending bills that we have.
122.
I can't make that decision. The well repair, we'll just have to look at. I don't know where we're gonna find the money. that's a decision for the city treasurer and his council to look at and decide. I invited the office manager here, but she was told not, I don't know, she didn't show up. Yes, sir.
Okay, it says, you say, for clarity. It's going to cost $15,000 to $20,000 for him to pull the pump. It also says to install a temporary pump. Installing a temporary pump, is that going to cost extra if we have to have it 2 or 3 weeks? Because later, no, down here it says,
15 to 20 estimate is to pull it and investigate it, and he'll drop cameras and stuff down in it and see if it could be the spring lockup, could be a whole spring. Well casing could have rusted through above the water line, it could be sucking air. There's many, that's what he's got to determine. You've got to pull not just one motor and electrical, you've got to pull the oil line, you got to pull the drill, you got to pull the pump out, and then hopefully you don't have anything wrong with the casing. That's the outside.
so the temporary pump is just to clear the well, right?
That's just to work on, see, investigate it, maybe clear it, yes. That's not, that nothing would supply us water, no man. That's not going, that won't do anything for us. It's just for investigative purpose.
And in order to get it fixed, it would make cost up to 60 to 80,000.
Additional, yes, ma'am. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities, because that water table could have dropped. You can have the options of the static level could have dropped. You could have the options of, okay, the well is about 500 foot deep or more, but the well, when it was set at around 240 something, the pump itself. The pump bowls are just what they say. There's series. I don't know how many series is on this one, but it depends on how much water you want to pump. And you can add or take away, but you can always lower that if you need to be. So, I mean, the wells were drilled for me because the water, the aquifer here is deeper. Where a lot of shallow wells were only 140, and a deep well in some parts of the state are only 240 deep.
What I was,
Yes, sir.
I was looking at the Jordensville 20, and you said this is gonna cost about $80,000.
I'm just giving you a letter, and that's all I can do.
Yeah, I'm just saying with this, how much is the city?
Well, we check for the city.
Yes, I'm sorry, the check for the city.
122.
See, you know, if that's gonna get you out of the hole to pay your Jordan's gas bill and to fix this problem, you know, take that. I mean, whatever, if it's gonna help you get these pumps, because I'm concerned about these pumps, let's get that done with that, and you can pay the gas bill out of this right here. But when you all decide to do something like that, please consult with this body first so we can approve it, so you wouldn't have to go through all this. But if that's gonna help you get out of the bind, I'm for it, but
Well, this here is they're done every, when you do wells, you do it at least every 3 to 5 years.
Yes, sir.
Inspections. That's to give you an idea where you're going, these trend of these have been going down over the years, it's just they haven't been reacted to. I can tell you they're drilling a new one in Mariana, and that one's, I think the little bit coming just under $900,000. And the next bid was over $1 million, so that gives you an idea if you had to put a new well down.
yes, sir. Mr. Turner, how long would we have on the city to pay this for the
I mean, the CD has been cashed. We just have a check.
Okay.
So the check can be, if you guys say it's okay, I guess retroactively or whatever, to say it was okay to do it, then they could deposit the check tomorrow.
I mean, I wouldn't go retroactive, because I mean,
But I think at some point, you're gonna have to have 2 signatures on the redemption. So to get everything technically done, we may have to, I'll talk to Ms. Jackson in the morning. But I have to check if you say it's okay for him to have a check, I can give Mr. Scroggin or the mayor to check tonight.
Yeah, I mean, because if that's gonna get them, if that's some money to get their gas bill paid and start to work on these pumps. I'm for that because I'm for that because let's go, Ms. Ford, I'm sorry.
Mr. Scott, we were talking about well number 9. Well number 10 has the same issues almost out with the same cost.
Yes, ma'am, it's falling also, and so is number 7. Number 7 is down to 300 gallons a minute. It used to pump around 1,200 something gallons a minute.
So
You all have talked about 2 totally different things, and I'm trying to follow the numbers. For the sake of the listening audience and for me, can you tell us what are we talking about? Because you had the Jordan's bill and the other things. I was trying to get a total of the numbers that you all have been discussing, so we'll have clarity about what we're discussing.
Jacob, me too. Well, this is what he's asking. What's the itemization of all this? What are we talking about?
Itemization is the fuel bill.
How much is it?
I don't know, the last total I had was $86,000. And one of the resulting reasons that is the sewage pump, so there's 2 different issues. The sewage pumps, as right now, we've gotten rid of $15,000 in rental plus that diesel. We're expecting at least 1 or 2 more within the next week on that issue, so that's gonna go down. As far as that Xylem bill that was quite big, well, we're working to get that out, which y'all already discussed to do on those 3 initial. And then what we had the public meeting last Thursday, we've actually done the whole assessment on Helena sewage pumps. And last Thursday, we done West Helena. There's more pump stations, 9 sewage pump stations in Helena just because of the geographic, and there's only 4 in Helena. So we only have 3 small, but all that's going to be in the package, that 100% zero match, and possibly the money that we're spending on these temporary repairs on these 3 sewage stations is reimbursable. So, and this may be even because we're also doing a water assessment. And that's a different package.
So I believe what I was gonna figure out is that you got 86,000 for the fuel, the diesel from Jordan's.
Yes.
Then you talked about 2 or 3 other things. I was trying to get
The fuel bill and the initial 12,000 and something dollars for Jones and another 2,200. So whatever that payment is on the wells.
Start if I could.
Okay.
So 86,000 of the 122,000 is the CD, right? 122. So
Yeah.
86,000 that we just confirmed over here is what the Jordan's fuel bill is. So the remainder of that 36,000 is what you could use for the issues you just talked about. So I think what to everybody's question, Mr. Early, Mr. Bayer, Mr. Franklin, is, the 36,000 left over, how long would that go to address the issues you're talking about with the wells and the pumps? And also tell them about, I believe we've replaced 2, right? So there are 2 bypass pumps that we're not renting anymore. So we are headed in the right direction anyway. And if they don't already know that, they need, or maybe it needs to be repeated if they did. That's good news. It's probably the first time that's happened.
That's $15,000 out. We don't have to pay no more.
So, which we discussed and they approved to do, it has been done. So I don't know if that's been adequately communicated or not. But anyway, 36,000, once the Jordan's bill is paid and they're no longer threatening to cut off the diesel to the pumps, the bypass pumps. How far would $36,000 go to address the problems you just told the council about? Is that a fair question?
Well, yeah, but didn't we approve a portion of that fuel bill, about
Yes, sir.
20,000? So is it 86 or is it something less than 86? Because if it's less than 86, then he could be talking as much as 56 or 60 or something like that. Yes. Blues Festival. But do we pay? I guess, did we pay it?
It was 86, 86 thing, right?
Well, it's just the pay, Joe had a special call meeting about $20,000 need to be paid immediately.
Right.
Y'all had a special call meeting, and I wasn't here.
So you got paid.
We got paid that.
Okay,
So, 86, so it's still 86.
we back to 86.
It was 100, now we're down to 86.
Oh, we got down 80, okay.
We got a letter saying, Mrs. Jenny Adams said, if they can get paid $10,000 a week. I mean, because these pumps are kind of important. If he can work with us and we can just keep paying our bill and let's take care of these pumps. Because I mean, what's going to cost us the most money? The pumps for the fuel. The pumps what you're talking about going to cost us a lot of money if we don't take care of it now. The fuel, from what the letter said, y'all had a handshake agreement. The department paid $10,000 each week until the account.
Well, that's a figure of speech. Before that was done, I come in on very front of this and sat down with Ms. Reba, and I think she consulted with Ms. Sandy and what we could pay them. And then when we missed payments, then it was demanding 20,000. And then when, that's the way that went. And then he wanted the whole entire bill, and then he agreed to take whatever it was, and now it's gone to where it is. That's all I can tell you about that.
These pumps are important. Try to get some of that because you
I
see.
think the figure we had at one time was about $40,000.
Yeah, but okay, but
A month.
he was telling us that he was willing to work with us, with you all.
Well, I think we're past that point. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well,
Now, I'm gonna let you negotiate or someone else negotiate with him. I can't negotiate with him anymore. I beg and plead. That's all I can do.
We stand outside.
Sir?
Mr. Adams, Ms. Ford, and Mr. Turner, am I correct?
Yeah.
He said that he was willing to work with us. Did he not say that? After we gave him a check for $25,000 or $20,000. We gave him a check for $20,000.
I don't know that. He never told me that. So you're talking to someone else.
No. I'm letting you know. I'm
Okay.
not talking to somebody. I'm talking to Tony Squires because you standing there. I'm telling you that Mr. Turner, Mrs. Ford, and I, after the special call meeting, Mr. Jenny Adams saw me and Miss Ford. Miss Ford was getting her vehicle, and we had a conversation with him. And he told us that he would.
Okay, I wasn't there, so I can't tell you. I wasn't in this conversation. I'm sorry. I can't comment.
But maybe, okay, yes, sir. Because see, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you what he told to us. That's what I'm not saying you were present.
Right.
I'm just saying he was there. He told us he was willing to work with us. Once he got the $20,000 check, he would work with us. Now, instead of paying them off, these pumps are important to us. And I think that we can get these pumps, give him an additional $22,000 or whatever else, give him that, and let's work on these pumps. Because if this goes down, we're in the worse shape than we are now. I mean, we can work. I mean, y'all gotta find out what's causing. You try to fix it. Once you fix what's causing y'all to bleed out, then you can make it work.
What are you doing, Mr. Frank?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Crosby, I just have a quick question. Well, it's two quick questions. You can take either one you desire. I believe that this body used the Rescue Act funds to catch up the lion's share of Xylem payments. And doing that, they appropriated, I believe it was for pumps 1, 3, and 5. Was it 1, 3, 5, and 7 or 1, 3, and 5?
Things like that. I get mixed up on it.
Which pumps are we discussing tonight?
The well pumps.
I didn't bring it.
The well pumps, okay. And I guess the other thing for the listening audience and for the
The
council.
the same sewage pumps, two of those bypasser pumps, about $15,000 is no longer here.
Those are the two we.
Right.
And then we've got one more that as soon as they get back with the electronics, we should be done with that one. Maybe two more.
My second question was, as it relates to Jordan's, why are we exclusively buying diesel from them? Why can't we just do like everybody does, go to a gas station and get some diesel?
Working with what?
Why can't we just go to the gas station and get diesel? Why can't we just get a check and go and pay for the gas?
No one
Any other
charged
gas
to it.
station?
Part of it's credit.
And if I may, Mr. Valley, you're correct, but the city has a diesel tank right back here. Behind here, where they get diesel,
Sanitation.
right, the sanitation, they get diesel and everything back there. Somebody, I think they meant whoever brings that diesel in right there, we could cut all this out. We got a diesel pump right back there.
We actually have tanks ourselves, but you're gonna have to have them inspected and tested before you put them back in service.
I understand
I've
that,
already researched that.
but then, well, guess what? We got this pump back here. It don't matter who get the diesel, as long as we can cut this high spending.
Yeah, if you can buy fuel for somewhere else, it'd be great.
They're getting it from somewhere else right now. I think this is.
I would say, we were up here talking about the 117,000 left in ARPA monies that you've already appropriated for pump replacement and repair. The $36,000 could be supplemented with the ARPA money. You pay Jordan's bill. And let me be clear, what this email is basically a collection. I was saying that they want the rest of it now because we didn't stay on track. And that's the 86,000. The 36,000 remaining of the CD would go towards the 40,000 you estimate would be needed on the well pumps you were talking about earlier. But is that
The water?
the water pumps? The well water,
Let's
the 9, 10
see.
to pull
Let's just estimate in the middle between 15 and the 20, $17,000, and we owe him 12. So that's 29,000. So yes, that 30, whatever would be real close to getting that where we can pay the present bill to him and pulling that, investigating it. Yes.
Okay.
On number 9.
So I think that's what I'm not.
So again, we talk about 15, I just want to be clear on that, $15,000 to $20,000, for pump 9 and what?
Just 9.
Just 9.
Just 9.
Okay, I said it has 15 to 20 on 10, so we're not talking about 10 yet, right?
No, ma'am. Because we've got to have it and number 8 right now. And plus, like I say, the last few days, we've had to kick on the 300 gallon per minute pump just to keep up.
And I was present when Jimmy and his little boy came up out there, and he already had said he had given him the $20,000 checks. And he just said something about he was asked to come down here and was told what to say, but apparently he didn't. He sent an email from his phone. That's what I witnessed.
I've asked them all to come.
And the only thing I'm saying, council, is this. The pumps are the most crucial issue that we have. That's what we can try to give him, work on this gas bill, but these pumps go out, we still in a whole lot more trouble. So I'm saying, which, to me, the pumps are important. You can get those $20,000 on the gas bill and renegotiate something, because the issue that you have is what you're talking about, these pumps. I believe the pumps are more important than the fuel right now. Because if something happens to these pumps, people got to do different things. So that's just me. I'm sitting here thinking about you saying how bad these pumps are. You're saying what somebody needs. We got some for 12 here, 12,000 and 2,000, and it's gonna cost this man to come do this. Why don't you be more concerned that if we can give Jordan's something and take care of this issue?
I will sit down with George and invite him. If you will invite someone that is in power making decision to make that decision with him. I'm not at this point.
Right.
That's but you're the water manager. You can
I
negotiate.
didn't create this. I'm not trying to go back. I've done all I
If I can just,
what I've done.
if I can just stop both of you for just a second, that we've already worked out payment arrangements and we didn't keep the payments. So the 86,000 or the 36,000 left over in the CD plus adding or another 4 from ARPA money would get us most of the way there. And I think the biggest point of your presentation earlier was that at one time we only had one well operating, and that's the well we can't afford to take down, Ms. Ford, because without it we could be in danger of losing water access to everybody in West Helena because it's the one well. It was, correct me if I'm wrong about that, but while we try to improve these other wells, other pumps and fix them, repair them, put them back to get these wells, that's where water comes from. It's pumped out of ground with the well and the pump. And those pumps are in trouble. And at one point, we only had one operating in West Helena. If that were to fail, there was no backup system. And that's the latest one that we put back online just in the last few weeks. So we kind of missed a bullet there. But the bottom line is both issues can be resolved with the CD and a combination of the CD and ARPA. And you're replacing the pumps that we've had bypasses on that use the diesel so much. So we are going in the right direction. And that's a good thing. And we do have the ability to do this financially. So we're,
You know, even before, we talked about the pumps, when we talked about the Jordan's gas bill, if you can remember, I thought we could work out some kind of way so that we could pay them then instead of piecemealing it and steadily charging about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I'll be happy to do whatever.
so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think what we're coming down to is the city council, what action they would need to take would be to, and I'll defer to others, but to approve the CD or the $122,000 check for use for $86,000 to pay the Jordan's fuel bill, the remaining balance of that, in addition to an extra $5,000 in ARPA monies or other monies already appropriated for that purpose, to repair the pumps in the wells to ensure that we continue to get well water in West Helena. Would that resolve what we're talking about?
At the moment, yes,
I
sir.
mean, I know there are other issues, but
Yes, sir.
the issue with the address issues you were explaining.
The immediate.
Mr. Scott, when you had the public hearing last week, you mentioned that you all gave a plan or something to show what's the status of both sides. Can you provide the council with a copy of that so that they can have what it seems like to me, and the feeling in the room is every week it's like we're trying to plug something. And there's not a fullness of information that's being disseminated. And so it comes in, here's the emergency, then next week, here's the next emergency. The next meeting, here's another next emergency. And I understand you were just hired. I understand that you came in and the building was on fire from a financial standpoint, and you're trying to put it out. I said, but to the extent that you know what the fires are, can you share with fullness with the council so they can have, because every week it's like we're trying to, seem like to me they're trying to digest what you're saying, and then as soon as we finish, they come back another, here's another fire.
You talking about there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm not trying to say the pot goes in the rainbow, but I'm just trying to say.
The plan
what-
that
what is the
y'all
plan?
did, is it available for the council to review yet?
Yeah, because of the monies that, because of the monies of the new grant money, the $250 or $74 million is coming down. And we only have until November the 4th to submit these applications. Working through East Arkansas,
Planning
planning,
and development,
sorry,
East Arkansas, planning and development.
development. And with Bond Engineer, who has worked through them and through projects, we have come down here and we have assessed the entire sewage system. The immediate one was West Helena, every station there. Then last Thursday, we went to Helen, we done all the immediate on the pump stations there. That's to replace everything new, brand new. If that money comes in, which is $50 million available, it will cost you nothing, 0%, because of the medium income here. We've also done assessment of the old water lines that we're having all the leaks of in Helena, And we're finishing up in West Helena this week, hopefully. Those lines will replace, and you'll have less leaks. Just, those are the smaller lines, the 2-inch and below that are galvanized, that are rusting or pitting, that's been in the ground for 50 and 60 years. But that's where we're at right now today. We're even going to assess the wells and include that on the water money because there's suits after application. But again, time is of the essence to have this done November the 4th. So that package is very lengthy. It's being done. Process is being in process. And I'm sure that we'll have more as it develops. That's all I know about it right at this moment.
Yes, sir, I understand that, but I was asking about the assessment that you've done and the potential cost for repair. Could you just share that with the council? That's all I was asking.
We physically walked.
No. The physical documents that you've done when you've done the assessment. Do you
Oh.
have documents based on the assessment?
The engineer done all the notes, and he's one that's, and through what we've taken him out on and the repair people, we've gone out and what needs to be done, what needs to be upgraded, pump sizes, that will all be done by them. And the cost,
Do you have anything, does the engineer have anything yet that's shareable with the council?
not at this time.
But by November 4th, there should be.
Yes, the
Definitely,
package should
because he
be,
has to do, and I always forget the name of this thing, but it's an engineering report essentially, right?
yes.
Well, it's called something else, but PER for the grant that has to be
It'll
included.
be a very readable and very long. And
So,
it'll have a cost breakdown with estimates and all that.
yeah, so that actually has to be done anyway, but so it'll be ready by November 4th anyway,
Yes.
right? Okay. Any other questions?
This question may be above my own head, probably is. Should this not have been done with the rate study? I mean, supposedly we changed our rates based on a total assessment of what we needed and where we were going. And it seems like now we're at a point where we're saying, well, wait a minute, it's not what because we met for months on that issue. And we changed the rates based on our future needs, but it seems like we didn't actually do it based on our future. I mean,
No, so I think I do.
okay. Can you email?
Yeah, I can get to everybody.
Okay. That'll give us a starting point, and then,
Arkansas Rural Water Association did a rate study.
and then when Mr. Scroggins gets whatever he can is shareable with us, and we can put it all together.
That's all following that new Act 605, which was passed to the legislator. And everyone, there is attendance and information for all council members and city mayors and associates to come bring up on it. It will be a mandatory course for anyone that's under 10 years serving. And there is mandatory things for each municipality's got to do. You've got to have a comprehensive rate study done by someone that is approved and accredited by the state legislator in that package. There's a whole criteria of things that have to be done. There's EPA risk assessments, which we've completed probably 2 weeks ago. That's been already submitted to EPA and verified. And then even the ISO rating, which we're trying to finish up. There's a lot of criteria that goes into that. And depreciation must be 100% funded on new rates. There's a lot of requirements, and most I'm gonna say rural systems, large systems have already adopted those and seen those over the last 20 years where they built in rate increases in for 3% per year or whatever. They done one, but instead of passing a huge one, they would go into it gradually, and then they would assess it at the end of those 3 or 5 year periods. And if they needed to not pass another one or raise it, continue it, then they would do that. That way you don't get stuck back in the 60s as far as your rates. As far as your rates, you're pretty low in the state.
We'll get you the right study and meanwhile. And the act you're referring to has consequences for all of us. Actually, you have to get continuing education and all kinds of stuff. But on the issue before us, the $122,000 check and the ARPA money, what's the wish of the body this time?
I guess, and the $86,000 check, I still have that. It hadn't been signed, so I don't know what they want to do with that.
Yeah, what, $86,000?
$86,000 to Joe.
What is it?
We had written the check and then we discussed it. Y'all decided not to do it, and then we ended up doing the $20,000.
So what's the?
What are you asking for us to do tonight so we can get
So
moving on this
I
thing?
think the question is to, for the council to approve
This-
doing the legal steps necessary to deposit the $122,000 CD money, to approve the $86,000 Jordan's bill, and then to approve the remaining $36,000 and another $5,000 at least from ARPA to address the well pump issue for the water wells in West Helena.
That sounds reasonable, and I think
Did you get all that?
we need to move forward on that. We've got,
Ms. Davis.
Second.
That's a good motion. Ms. Davis moves adoption
Second.
of that request, and Mr. Everly seconds the motion. Any questions about the motion? Then the motion is to, let me restate it, to do the legal steps necessary to deposit the $122,000 and to the water department account to pay the $86,000 Jordan's bill and the remaining $36,000 towards the repairs of the water pumps in the wells in West Helena as discussed by Mr. Scroggins, combined with up to $5,000 at least in ARPA money that had already been set aside for that purpose as well.
my question,
Any
Mr. Scoggins,
questions
can you
about-
live with what he's talking about?
I think so. Yes, sir.
Okay, then let's move.
Okay, and a motion is,
For clarity, Mayor said legally. What you all are doing in practical matter is ratifying the cash in of the CD and appropriating it for the payment of the bill.
that's correct.
Will this money go straight for that? Because I know y'all are having issues trying to pay y'all regular bills. Will this go straight for that? So we can make sure this money goes straight in and it won't go, your monthly bills won't take this money. Cause you all are still trying to pay your monthly, your regular light gas and y'all trying to pay y'all regular bills over there, right? I wanna make sure this money goes straight to that, so it won't be in the part, and this money won't get paid for water, y'all utilities over there that you all have.
The idea is getting expenses down and again, it may show up where we have to pay, so we have had to come ask for some more money.
Ms. Sandy, can you answer that question?
She don't pay the office manager pay their bills over there. That's why I was asking, will this money go straight for these issues?
Well, but some of them, sometimes we have to pay those bills and sometimes you want to address that.
Correct.
Earmarked for that.
For this purpose right here, because
I mean, Ms. Sandy, is there any reason we can't do that? I guess is the question.
No, we'll use all this money for what you appropriated and we'll continue to help out the water department with their existing.
so are you keeping a tab on how much do they owe the sanitation department?
I'd have to look, Mr. Franklin. I'm just getting back. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
okay.
but I think that's something that needs to be addressed. We need to keep a record of how much money they're getting from,
Oh, yes, sir. We
because
are.
well, I'm gonna go ahead because I don't want to jump into that.
Any other,
She does give me and Miss Ramsey a list of what she owes. So we do have it on. I'm sure she can get it.
Handle all
Yes,
that.
yes, sir.
But that's putting, go.
any other questions or comments about the motion?
All for the question.
Call for the question. Ms. Ramsey, call the roll.
Franklin,
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Etherly,
Yes.
Ford. St. Columbia.
Yes.
5 yes, 1 absent.
Thank you, Mr. Scroggins.
Thank you.
And let me know that this. This council always saying that, not you, but we always saying that we ain't working and everything that he need, everything he has done, we have helped him do it. This body has approved everything he's asked for when we get in financial crisis.
The conflict of interest ordinance is the next item on the agenda, and we've had a couple of objections to it on the council, so I'm just basically trying to see if we're going to be able to do that tonight. So, and it is on the public agenda, so I'll open that up. Any comments? Mr. Valley?
It's ordinance been pending for a while. For some reason, haven't had the desire to deal with it. But the current ordinance is $2,500. You all were discussing an amount, and then last time we discussed it in detail, Ms. Franklin put an amount, and the body didn't go with that. And Mr. Etherly had moved the table, and it was second, and we've just it's been there ever since. It's been in that holding position for a while.
Well, I have a question. The auditors write us up if we're not in compliance with state law to have a conflict of interest ordinance. So we have not approved a conflict of interest ordinance. What does that mean for, strictly speaking, it would mean we'd have to stop any activity with anything or anybody that might have a conflict of interest with the city until such time as the ordinance was approved that would allow it to go forward. So theoretically, we could dramatically immobilize and freeze a lot of important things. And for people that don't realize what we're talking about, we have contracts with attorneys so that we can deal with conflicts of interest that arises with the city attorney and his brother, but also Ms. Halbert and her husband is a prosecutor and also does help with the city. And we've had a few other conflicts that are approved, provided there's an ordinance and it's done publicly, and it's not very much money in most cases, but the state law requires us to do it. So what is the status of those things if we don't have an ordinance in place is my question.
We already
Well,
have.
We have one that's very limited. It's $2,500. It was done doing consolidations only up to $2,500. And just for the public's sake, the conflict of interest, what it is, in small municipalities, you have a issue where the roofer may be related to someone, the person who does the mechanic, or the person who owns a gas station, et cetera. What state law is concerned about, if anybody on city payroll, whether it is an elected official or an employee, if they have someone who does business with the city, that is considered a conflict of interest. And that's a very broad thing. And so the issue is trying to, the city must by ordinance establish the maximum amount that it will authorize for someone to do business with the city who's related to somebody on the payroll. And so the issue is 2,500 is such a small amount. It was done doing consolidation, but it hasn't been raised. And so there are many different employees who have, or people on payroll who have relatives who have businesses where they could potentially do business with the city. Because it's further than that. they couldn't even offer a bid because they would be disqualified if it's only $2,500. So if we have a plumber or or we have a roofer, or we have someone with HVAC or a cleaning service or whatever, it creates a problem and limits who the city can contract with. And that's the larger issue with the conflict of interest.
What is the state's, Mr. City Attorney, what is the state's attitude in the amount? What do they
I
feel
think-
like
They leave it to the local body because they leave it to the local body.
they, and what generally is the amount that a community of our size would appropriate for that?
We'll give you an example. City of Mariana is
Yeah.
100,000.
100, City of
Parking
Mariana.
is 35,000. City of Parking is 35,000. It just depends on the local municipality, what's your desire.
Well, I agree, the amount we've got is too
Because
small.
here's the thing, we're only talking about if you're authorized to do business with the city. The mayor will still have to go through the bidding process and spending limits and all those things.
Normal procedure.
At this point, anyone who is related to anybody who's on payroll, if they have a business, they would be disqualified for any job that's above $2,500.
And the reason why I shot so high is because you may have somebody that comes, if you all remember when we had the roof over in West Hill and the fire department back here, it came up to be $100,000. Well, I said $250,000 because of what we had to do some HVAC work. So I mean, I was laughed at for shooting with $250,000, but if something happens, it still got to go through the normal process. But I just thought that would be helpful in case.
We have ordinances only at 2,500. But the issue is, that Ms. Ethel and I was discussing, so you tell also, it's consanguinity and affinity. So it could be your blood relatives or it could be your in-laws. Consanguinity is blood, affinity is by marriage or et cetera.
So what is your recommendation as city attorney?
I think you all need to increase it. I would defer to you all. I think you all need to increase it from $2,500. That's what that ordinance was. I don't remember the ordinance number. Ms. Ramsey, do you remember the ordinance number? It was conflict of interest ordinance, but
Here's my mind. We have lawyers. Mostly, we were working our rate. It needs to be equitable, regardless of whether you have a conflict or not, is my issue. It's my only issue with it. I don't have any conflicts, but if I did, I would want to be fairly compensated, not held back by an arbitrary number. And I don't know what that number is because I'm not a lawyer and I don't do that, but that's usually where most of the conflicts are right now.
well,
Right.
part of it is, at one point, we had an employee who was in fire, but his relatives
Right.
had roofing companies, the
HVAC.
HVAC company and et cetera. So those are things we have to address. And Ms. Ramsey had at one point four people who were doing business with the city who had relatives that were on city payroll. And here's the thing, it's an annual cap. And so that's the one thing you have to look at as well. Because for instance, if you prepare the air conditioner, it's $5,000 and you do 2 or 3, you can get to 15,000 real quick. If you had a roof, Mr. Franklin missed a roof because of the same family, but it was $100,000. And so those are.
Is there, let's say in that particular case, a project came before the city and they had the low bid, but there was a conflict of interest question. Can we not bring that up on an individual basis? Or do we?
They have to have an ordinance that authorizes you to do it in the first place.
Or they be
So-
disqualified.
Right, and that's the practical issue. And so it's not, here's the one thing about it. It's not that big of a deal, the amount. If you're going, even if you did 100,000, it's not that big of a deal because you still go through the regular bidding. The question is whether you're going to foreclose them from bidding on the job. That's the issue. And in any small municipalities, everybody's related to somebody. And that's the practice. You may not perceive it as family, but somebody has a family a relative that's doing some kind of business.
So your ordinance had what limit on it?
The one in Mariana had
The one-
100,000.
Well,
this one is blank.
The one that was tabled, I guess.
It didn't have an amount. They was discussing. they were discussing the amount, because each time they asked, what would be the amount?
We haven't achieved a consensus on what that amount should be.
We
yet.
have not. Mr. Franklin put out 200,000 1 point, and he came back 100,000, but nobody was amenable to that. And it just stopped, discussion stopped.
Okay.
And this thing about it, this is nothing. What if we get some more money from state aid to pave these roads, and we got somebody who can pave some roads, and they got a relative work here, and the road, they give us $300,000 and they bid $250,000. I think that, you know, it still got to go through the same process as everything else. I think $200,000 will be perfect. And if something happens, it still comes to us. Don't cap somebody. You may have somebody who can pour some concrete. And, you know, if they can pour some concrete, let them have the job. You know, you got somebody asphalt, whatever, hauling dirt, whatever we may need, you know. And Jordan, this who worked with us, he called me and spoke at that sign up and said, "I'm back on him."
It doesn't seem that we have a consensus. I do think we need to try a little harder because there's some circumstances that don't involve me that need to be more equitable for those involved. And my humble opinion, that as long as it's available and publicly known and there's no secret or hidden agenda behind the relationships, then the public has an opportunity to discuss it and so forth. That we are on that side, but at the same time, we are a small town and we don't want to limit talented people by sort of arbitrary relationships.
I give an example that just hit me, and when you said that, I'm thinking about public ordinance. My brother-in-law has ownership interest in the paper we publish. And so my sister has ownership interest. So if that,
Even in the
so-
state, let alone the town, typically those kind of things.
but we're required to publish.
We do need a more, seems to be kind of like the spending.
Right.
Seems dated to me, so I didn't try and work for that harder to find a consensus. I wanted them out would be.
Can we start at $100,000 right now? Just in case.
I have no issue with that. I have no issue with whatever number you do, other than it needs to be increased from 2,500. 2,500 is well too small.
I said 100,000. Just me, if I can get somebody to go, I said $100,000.
Any other comments on that? Going forward?
If we may, at the next meeting, let's have the ordinance, and there are like 4 sets of people, maybe 5.
Okay.
That we currently are doing business with, that we need to get ratified and go forward.
That'd be reasonable.
And this is not on it, but you, Mayor, you are Mr. St. Columbia and Mr. Ethan, Ms. Davis, for Ms. Crockton here, but we have missed out on something that you all have not put back on the agenda or brought back to our attention, the demolition of those houses for the housing authority. You all said that has been left off the agenda or not, well, not.
No,
left off,
it was approved.
but there's no action, no houses have been taken down. You were supposed to come back and let us know about who did you select to do the work. The houses are still standing.
That's because the people that HUD uses to do that are still going through some regulatory processes, and they haven't given us the green light yet to do that. So that's where it is. They've got some variety of things and waiting periods. I'd refer you to our housing authority and the people that we would actually be doing the work for. But believe me, I'm chomping at the bit to do it for all kinds of reasons. And there's some regulatory issues out of Chicago and Little Rock and DC that slow it down. Nothing bad. It's just,
I just
slow.
thought because we were supposed to be kept informed of what's going on because we.
Well, nothing's developed on it because
I'm just saying that, we rushed through it to do it. And I think that the citizens, what's the progress being made on that. That was some financial gain for the city, as you say. So that could have helped us.
Still will be.
Right. So we could have, I'm sorry, Mr. Valley.
Oh, no, I wasn't.
So if we done, you wanna?
I'm not.
Okay. We're gonna, to her regret, our code enforcement officer had some child care issues tonight, could not be here, so she will be at the next one. Try to have a backup plan for the child care so she can be here in person. So we're gonna pass over that one tonight. And that leaves us to the Danny Newsom case, and we'll turn that over to Mr. Valley.
Okay, well, some of you were here back in 2011 when Danny Newsom appealed his termination to city council. And some of you all were not. I know, but St. Columbia was absent that night. He didn't vote. Was Ethelyn, was Miss Davis, Mr. Franklin were here. I don't know who all was here. The lawsuit had been pending for 11 years. It was during the interim while I wasn't city attorney. Then when I came back, it was still with Amy Board, and in 2019 was set for trial, and it was continued. And then COVID happened, and this is the first real setting since COVID. It was set for trial Thursday. I issued subpoenas and all that. We're trying to get people here. Judge called me at 8 o'clock this morning. He rescheduled. Some of you all have been served with subpoenas, but we're releasing you all from the subpoena because it hadn't been set. What the judge did was he took it off the calendar, and the judge is ordering, we've already had mediation, but he's ordering a second mediation. He's ordering not only, he's going to issue order for everybody from the city clerk to city treasurer, to the mayor, city attorney, city council be present. Not only this council, but he wants the former mayor who made the decision, the former chief, the former assistant chief, and the city council from then to be present. He said he wants everybody there. So to the extent the city comes back with the same thing, that the city has done everything it can to try to resolve the case. The facts, we've already discussed this privately in the mediation. The facts of it have not changed. It's still the same lawsuit, but he is the judge and he's ordered us to do the mediation. My position has not changed, and I stated my position to you all privately, but he's ordered mediation to be set for trial. We're ready for trial with issued subpoenas. I've talked to Euless Wallace, I've talked to Ronald Scott, and I've talked to others, and we were ready for trial, but the judge has ordered mediation, and that's what he said. And as I said, he called me at 8:03 this morning. And that's what he told me to tell the body. Now, Mr. Allen sent us an offer to sell the case. His offer is $92,000. I have a duty to inform you all of that offer. You all are present in the last mediation, but I have a duty to tell you all what the offer is, $92,000. His basis is, he says, he believes that he was wrongfully terminated, and he believes he wants him to get back pay all the way back to 2011. And he's a part-time officer. We don't even have part-time officers other than one at this point. We don't have a practice of having part-time officers. The city does not have a civil service commission anymore. And then the documents that I've shown you all before, they asked to come before the city council, not the civil service. They had a full hearing before the city council, not the civil service. And so the city council made its decision not to overturn the mayor's decision. And he sued, and it's only on that basis. He says he was done wrong. But of course, everybody here knows that we as a city have a employee at will policy, which means you can be fired for any reason, good reason, bad reason, no reason. In the state of Arkansas, that's the law. He does not allege anything relating to age, race, religion, national origin, or anything that would cause us to be constitutionally liable. He's only talking about the process and the fact he was fired. And he's saying he was not done right because of the reason. But of course, us being a state, in the state of Arkansas, us having a policy, his employee will, we stand on that. But I have a duty to tell you all that the offer to sell is $92,000. They won the counter offer, and the judge has ordered us, regardless of whether you all approve it or not, to go to mediation. And he wants everybody there that accounted for, including Mayor Arnell Willis. No, I have to coordinate that with all of you all because I have to get Mayor Willis, former Chief Euless Wallace, former Assistant Chief Ronald Scott, Roy Covington, at the time who acted. All of them present.
Smith.
Smith, yeah, because he's in Stuttgart.
Because that was the main reason.
Well, I won't go through the facts and
Yes, sir.
regurgitate them
I
too.
wouldn't
All of
either.
y'all were at mediation, you all are familiar with the facts already. This is one that the city did not settle before.
Any questions for Mr. Valley?
I think it's gonna be at least 60 days out. I don't think it's gonna be anytime soon because there's so many people on our side to make sure that we have dates.
All right, that's the last item on the agenda. We've done a lot of things in the last few weeks, meeting every week. So we don't perceive needing to meet again until 2 weeks. So are there any other business to come before the council? Cycle moves adjournment. Mr. Early takes motion. If no objection, meeting adjourned. Thank you.